Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We back. We got this statue. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's the first few minutes. I don't want to use certain words. You know, they scan the first few minutes. If you do YouTube, you know, sometimes, you know, they trip on you.
Facts.
But we in for a good one, hopefully. Because who knows?
What y'all got going?
And before y'all get in the comments, we haven't seen this one before. So shut up. You know, somebody, I swear I remember. This is how I even found your channel.
I promise you we haven't. But anyway, yeah.
But hey, with that being said, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go, man. You want to first support, all you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
like it with a thumbs up.
We'll highly appreciate it, man. But let's go. Let's get into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what this Ballen about, man. Let's go.
This video is brought to you by Current. Today, we're going to look at 3 places you can't go and people who went there anyways. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer to do the like button's laundry, but be sure to stop the dryer when their clothes are still slightly damp. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In the fall of 2002, 19-year-old Gemma Houghton moved into her dorm room at the very prestigious University of Manchester in England to begin her freshman year. Her first couple of months at the school were relatively uneventful. She spent all of her time focusing on her studies, and so she really had not gone out and met any new people. But in early 2003, so about halfway through her freshman year, she was standing outside of her dorm when this boy she had never met before walked up to her and introduced himself. He was this tall, very handsome, very charming guy. He said his name was Ian Redmond. He was a senior at the school, and he in fact lived in the same building that she did, and so he just wanted to introduce himself. Now, Gemma was not looking for a boyfriend, but she was immediately attracted to Ian, and Ian would later say the feeling was mutual. This chance encounter would ultimately blossom into a full-fledged romantic relationship, one that would ultimately lead to Ian 6 years later proposing to Gemma on Christmas Eve 2009.
You know what they be saying about them freshmen and them seniors, especially in college. You know, fresh meat, something new on the block. Them seniors love them freshmen. If you know, you know.
They lead to Ian 6 years later proposing to Gemma on Christmas Eve 2009. That same year they got engaged, the couple who had diligently saved money for years and years and years were able to pool their money and buy a house together. It was not a very nice house. It was a fairly beat up cottage in this little town in England that would need a lot of work. But Ian and Gemma were actually very excited to do the work. They looked at this as an opportunity to make the house exactly the way they wanted it, and it was a chance for them to spend some quality time together. So for the next 2 years, during all of their free time, Ian and Gemma would work on their home, and then finally in August of 2011, right before their actual wedding day, they finished the renovation. Their home is done. And so they get married, and then literally right after their wedding, instead of going right into a honeymoon, they just moved right into their dream home that night. And so for the next couple of days, the newlyweds got to enjoy being husband and wife for the first time inside of their dream home, and then it was time to go on the honeymoon. In addition to having set aside money for the down payment on their home, the couple had also set aside money for this honeymoon. They wanted it to be an amazing vacation. And so what they decided to do for their honeymoon was to go to Seychelles, which is this island nation in the Indian Ocean, which which many say has the most beautiful beaches in the world. So on August 10th, the couple hops on a plane and they fly to Seychelles. And when they land, they check into their resort, which is this unbelievable place that overlooks this perfect beach with white sand and crystal clear waters. And then after getting checked in, the couple goes down to a restaurant and they're having a bite to eat. And as they're sitting there, they're probably thinking to themselves, this is going to be the best vacation ever. During the first week of their trip, the couple was very active, spending lots of time exploring the island and going out on different excursions and going to lots of restaurants. They were just all over the place. And so come Tuesday, August 16th, which was the start of their second week and final week of this honeymoon, the couple was kind of tired from all the activity. And so they decided they would just have a lazy day at the beach that day. And so the couple grabbed their swimsuits and their towels and their chairs, and they left the resort and headed down to the beach right outside. And then after finding a decent spot on the sand, they set up their chairs and towels, put their stuff down. And Gemma, she laid down on one of the chairs to begin sunbathing. And Ian, he grabbed his fins and his snorkel, and he kissed Gemma on the cheek and said he was going to go down to the water and go for a swim. Gemma remembers watching Ian as he walked across the beach and stopped in front of the water and put on his big fins and got his snorkel on, and then he kind of awkwardly duck walked his way into the water. And Gemma remembers just smiling and laughing to herself, watching him awkwardly do this, and then thinking to herself how lucky she was to be married to such an amazing guy. She really loved him so much. After Ian had finally gotten into the water and had begun his snorkeling journey, Gemma laid back and began to doze off to sleep. A little while later, though, Gemma suddenly woke up to the sound of what almost sounded like someone sneezing really, really loudly. And so instinctively, she sat up and scanned the waterline for her husband, but all she saw were other tourists in the water swimming and snorkeling and doing all sorts of stuff. She couldn't find Ian. And then she heard a male voice calling out for help, and it was coming off to the right towards the top of the beach, pretty far away from her. And she turned and she saw Ian. Ian was about 60 feet off of the sand, so he's well out into the water, and he appeared to be kind of hunched forward with his arm kind of in the water, and he's waving his other arm in the air. It was like he was stuck on something, and before Gemma could get up and run to him or help him in any way, Ian just begins to scream at the top of his lungs. When Ian began screaming, there was a surgeon who was also on vacation at this beach who was in a boat near where Ian was. He hears the scream and he boats over to Ian, and he and the guy who was in the boat with him managed to pull Ian out of the water. They get him on the boat, and Ian is alive and he's conscious, but he is missing his entire left arm. He's missing the majority of his left thigh, and there was a huge chunk missing from his midsection. It would turn out Ian had been attacked by a bull shark, one of the most aggressive sharks in the world. That sneezing sound that Gemma had heard that had startled her awake was the sound Ian had made through his snorkel when the shark bit down on him. The surgeon rushed Ian to the shore and pulled him out and got him onto the sand and began trying to save his life. At the same time, Gemma had come running up the beach, and she managed to push through the quickly forming crowd, and she drops down next to her husband. And Ian at this point is alive and he's conscious. He's very badly hurt, but he's looking up and he's clearly making eye contact with Gemma. And Gemma, she's looking down at her husband and she's making clear eye contact with him, and they don't really say much. It was like this horrible moment where all they could do was just be in the moment together. And so during this kind of silent acknowledgement, Ian would ultimately pass away. It would turn out, over the past few weeks, there had been a rash of shark attacks at this beach, including one other fatal attack on another tourist. Because shark attacks in Seychelles were so unheard of, they believed this had to be the work of one rogue bull shark. That was the one shark that was doing all of these attacks. And so because this shark had not been captured or killed, the country had actually instituted a temporary ban on swimming at this beach and a few other beaches. But for whatever reason, the ban had not been communicated effectively to the tourists, nor had it been enforced on the tourists. And so Gemma and Ian had no idea the water was a dangerous place to be. They just looked out and saw other tourists swimming around and believed it was totally safe, when in reality, it obviously wasn't. Gemma would quickly return to England, and she would host her husband's funeral in the same church she and he had been married in 10 days earlier. Before we get into...
That's so sad. That made me so sad.
And you know the reason why it's so sad? One reason, well, but it's so messed up, bro, because is this a high, like, tourist attraction spot? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times they are alerted. Was there no lifeguards out there? You get what I'm saying? Like nobody monitoring the beach.
Or
Also, because the reason why I say this is because with it being a heavy and possibly being a heavy tourist spot, if they put an alert that hey, our beaches are off limits to swim, because most people when they go to the beach, they want to get in the water. Mm-hmm. There's no point in just standing around on the sand. If you go to the beach, you want to get into the water. So we cut off limits to accessing the water. Now it cuts off people wanting to visit the beach. So it also kills probably people wanting to visit this particular area because hey, and so that's money killing money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we are aware of the shark, but we like let's just be have an eye open for it to possibly put it down, but we're not gonna alarm anyone because it can financially hurt us. You get what I'm saying? Because things like that happen a lot. But my bad, go. Because I know you was trying to say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that she like
I was just gonna say I don't know because in their heads like well it's just this one shark. That one shark can do a lot of damage to a lot of people, especially when you've already had issues beforehand, like situations beforehand, and then also I'm like. Regardless if it was just one shark, it should have been effectively like communicated to Swiftly. Every single person like immediately. And also maybe y'all should have just closed the whole entire beach up. Like I get with the money, but let me say
people let me just cut you off
would do anything like to
I'm not saying that they should have did like F the money. That's what I'm saying. F the money.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. F the money. People will do anything to continue to make $1, but you can never get a life back. Yeah. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like the beach should have been closed off completely until y'all caught the shark.
Yeah. Because all I was trying to say is that was what they probably was thinking about. Because typically countries that people do visit and tour are that's how they make their money. Yeah. Because other than that, the people typically don't have any money. They have to make money on tourist involvement. So that's possibly, but that's selfish on y'all's end because also several people have been attacked. The fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like this could have been prevented. It 100% could have been prevented if we had. As soon as the first attack happened, we searched for the shark. We can't find the shark. Let's shut down this area. And see if we can eventually get this shark caught.
And make sure that it's just one. Like, because my thing is, I understand that's not a normal thing for shark attacks to be happening, but okay, now it's a problem. It's happening.
Because it's not just one person, it's several people.
Right. So we need to go ahead and address the situation at hand.
And going to places like this, you should do research on, like, news, but what if they didn't put it in the news?
And that's the thing. What if things are not even really out there? And then since it's not coming, and you hear about it being such a great tourist spot or a nice place to visit, it's beautiful.
They probably ain't gonna put the information out there.
So I don't know.
But I do feel like if you're gonna no matter who you are, you visiting in places and stuff, research the local news and see what's being reported before you go there, so you can be aware of what's going on at that time. Because let's just say if it was they would have been informed that this beach we shouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
That's sad.
Because y'all had been there for already a week. Was this the first time y'all been to the beach? You get what I'm saying? And I guess your guard is off. You feel as though it's safe because hey, we've been here before, But it's not being correlated to the tourists that, hey, like some things is going on that we can't fully guarantee y'all safety. So be precaution if you're gonna go to the beach. Probably stay closer to the shore and not actually go out there to the water.
Yeah.
But that's fucked up.
In 1986, 35 million Americans went to see the brand new movie Crocodile Dundee, which was a comedy that starred this very capable and rugged Australian crocodile hunter who goes to New York City. One of the 35 million Americans who saw this film was a 24-year-old model from Virginia named Ginger Meadows. And after seeing this film, Ginger felt inspired to actually go to Australia to see it for herself because it looked so amazing in this movie. So a couple of months later, in March of 1987, Ginger, by herself, hops on a plane and flies to Perth, which is a major city in Western Australia. And her plan was she would land in Australia and then work odd jobs to make a little bit of cash and then use that cash to fund her travels all over the country. And then at some point, after she was tired of doing that, she would head back to the United States. So she lands in Perth and immediately she sees her first opportunity to make some money. There had been this huge sailing competition in the city leading up to the weekend she arrived there. And so she saw all these luxury yachts anchored at all these docks along the coastline. And Ginger's thinking to herself, you know, these huge ships, they have crews that work on them basically full time. Maybe one of these boats could use an extra set of hands. And so Ginger, who was very friendly and outgoing, she went right down to one of these docks and she stopped in front of the very first yacht she saw, which was this huge luxury 100-foot yacht. And she introduced herself to the captain of this boat. And she said, hey, you know, can I hitch a ride with you guys to the next place you're going? And in exchange, I'll work for you. And as it happened, the captain was actually looking for another crew member to assist their chef. And so he said, okay, well, can you cook? And Ginger said, yeah, I'm a great cook. And he said, okay, well, you're hired. You can be the chef's assistant. And so Ginger, she climbs on board and she meets the rest of the 5 other crew members, including the chef who she'd be working with. And the chef's name was Jane, and those two would become very close. And then shortly after Ginger had come aboard, the captain cast off their lines and they headed out to sea. Their next stop was going to be New Guinea, which was roughly 14 days of travel away. After about a week at sea, the captain realized they were dangerously low on fresh water. And so he decided to take a detour and turn east and head inland along this river system that would bring them to this large freshwater pool, which he also knew had this huge waterfall that dumped down into it. And so he figured they could go right underneath this waterfall and fill up their jugs with all this fresh water and then head back out and they'd be good. So on the morning of March 29th, the captain anchored the yacht out at sea near the mouth of this river system. And then he lowered the yacht's dinghy, which was a smaller, more agile boat. And once that was in the water, he, Ginger, Jane, and the rest of the crew, they hop in this dinghy along with all these large empty water jugs, and they begin making their way towards this river. And so they're traveling up this river for a little while, and then finally they get to this huge freshwater pool, and right in front of them is this amazing waterfall, and everybody is just totally awestruck by this waterfall. It's like a gem in the middle of nowhere, because they're in very rugged Australia at this point. And so the captain, he brings the dinghy right near the base of the waterfall, and one by one they hold up their water jugs and they fill them with fresh water, and then they're about to turn and go back out to sea and get back on their yacht when the captain thinks to himself, you know what, we've been at sea for 7 days straight, it's been very monotonous, maybe it would be a good thing to stick around here for a little bit longer and maybe even hike up to the top of this waterfall and enjoy the view and kind of enjoy the scenery.
Can we just stay to our course?
What you say? I don't want to climb a thing. I stay down here.
Like,
Y'all doing too
come
much.
on, man.
Mm-mm.
We already had to get off the course to go get some fresh water, which is understandable. But let's get back on course.
Facts.
Like, we don't need to do all this.
Before we head back out to sea. And so he says to his crew, hey, do you guys want to go to the top of this waterfall? And
Hell
everyone
no.
agrees it's a great idea, with the exception of Jane. She did not feel like hiking to the top of this waterfall.
Smart.
She said she would stay down in the dinghy and wait for them. Now, this pool is basically surrounded on all sides by just pure cliff face. There really is no place to land this dinghy. There's no flat surfaces. You basically have cliffs that go directly into water, and then also you have the river that feeds back out to the ocean. So the captain brings the dinghy right up against the cliff face right next to this waterfall, and he and Ginger and the other crew members not named Jane climb out of the dinghy onto this cliff face, and they begin climbing, literally climbing up this wall towards the top of the waterfall. Now, everyone was able to do it except for Ginger. She kept slipping on the rocks. It was very steep. It seemed kind of dangerous. And so at some point, she abandons the idea and goes back down to the dinghy with Jane, and the captain and the rest of the crew, they continue up towards the top. And so as Ginger Ginger and Jane are sitting in the dinghy watching the other crew members making their way up, they start feeling a little bit left out, and they're like, you know what? Let's try to find an alternate way up to the top of this waterfall. And so they begin scanning out across this pool at the other cliffs kind of surrounding it, and it looked like on the very other side of the pool, there was a less severe cliff face that maybe they would have an easier time climbing up. And so the two women, they jump into the murky brown water and begin swimming directly across this pool towards this other cliff. And when they make it about a third of the way, Jane suddenly stops, and Ginger notices and turns around and looks at Jane, and she's like, what's going on? And Jane would tell her, you know, something just feels off. This doesn't feel right. Let's go back to the dinghy. Let's just forget about this. But Ginger is like, come on, we're so close. Let's just keep going. It'll be awesome once we get to the top of this waterfall. And so Jane, she's totally hesitant, but she says, okay, fine. And they both continue to swim. And then all of a sudden, they hear their captain, who is now on top of the waterfall, screaming down to them to get out of the water right now. And they notice he is pointing down at the pool in a direction slightly away from where they were. And so they're looking up at him, and they're following his finger down to the part of the pool he's pointing at, and they see there is this tidal wave of water coming towards them. It is a 12-foot-long saltwater crocodile that has noticed them, and it is charging straight at them. Now, Jane and Ginger knew they were too far away from the dinghy to be able to swim to it before this crocodile was going to reach them, and so their next best choice was just to turn and swim towards the nearest cliff face, because again, there is no place to get out of the water. There's only cliffs. And so they swim towards this cliff face, which is right on the edge of the bottom of the waterfall. And so water is landing on them, and they reach the cliff face, and they're trying to climb up and pull themselves out of the water, but there's nowhere to grab onto. It's all totally slick. There's no good handholds. And so all they have is this little ledge that is in the water that they're standing on, but they're still halfway into the water. And so after they struggle for a minute trying to pull themselves out of the water, and they realize they can't do it, they both just turn around and they lock arms and they look out through the water that's falling down in front of them into the pool, and they see this crocodile has followed them, and it is now stopped right on the other side of the water that's falling down, and it's just staring at them with its mouth wide open. And the two women are looking at it. They don't know what to do. And the captain and the other crew members, they see what's going on, and they're trying to climb down as fast as they possibly can to try to rescue them. But it's going to take several minutes at least before they get down to the dinghy. And so Jane and Ginger, they're totally aware of this, and they're just staring at this crocodile, screaming at it, trying to get it to go away. And at some point, the crocodile does just close its mouth and sink below the surface. But now they don't know where it is, and this causes Ginger to completely panic, and she lets go of Jane's arm, and she dives into the water off to the right and attempts to swim away from the crocodile back over to the boat. But Ginger only made it 2 strokes before the crocodile suddenly re-emerged underneath her and grabbed her by the waist and pulled her under the water. Jane is just standing there watching all of this happen in front of her. She has no idea what to do. The crew is still not down in the dinghy, so she's totally stranded, and she's just staring at the area where Ginger has been pulled below the surface. And just seconds after she's been pulled under, the crocodile re-emerges with its head pointed towards Jane, and in its jaws is Ginger. And Ginger's got her arms up over her head. She's wide-eyed, and she's looking right at Jane. And Jane makes eye contact with her, but there's nothing she can do. And she just watched as Ginger again was pulled back under, and this time she did not come up again. Ultimately, Jane would be rescued from the ledge. The crew would get down to the dinghy, they'd swing over, they would pick her up, and then about 2 days later, they would find what was left of Ginger's remains. It would turn out the captain was well aware of the threat the crocodiles posed in this river, and he had told his crew, Ginger and Jane included, about this threat, and that at no point should anyone get in this water. But of course, his warning went unheeded.
That is sad, bro.
Baby, honey, we just gonna lock arms and be still. Don't make no sudden moves.
Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, is there a possibility they just stood there and sat still?
He was just waiting for somebody to make some type of movement.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know how they operate.
Yeah, true.
I don't know how crocodiles operate.
Yeah, or alligators. So
or alligator, none of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just not gonna move. I'm just not gonna move. Just come get me. I'm gonna be as still as possible.
Because that's my thing. I wonder if, because it never went back at Jane. Because from the previous video that we did with the Australian River, it took the body down, but they were still making noise, so he came back up for the rest of them. And you know what I'm saying? So my thing is, I wonder if Jane had made some noise and tried to run, did he kind of leave Ginger to, all right, and I'm going to come back and get it?
I just don't understand why. In my head, it wouldn't have even made sense to even do that, not knowing where it was.
Yeah,
but I understand, like, under pressure and panicking, you make, like...
Yeah. Stupid is, like, you're not thinking, like... It's like, you know how you in panic mode. So you like panicking, just I gotta escape some type of way.
Fight or flight. Like what I'm about to do, and you just react.
Cause my thing is like in a case like this and stuff, people who don't know like what is the proper protocol to deal with crocodiles. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure somebody watching know like, all right, if you ever come across a crocodile, this is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do. Yeah. So, hey, fill us in, man, because if I come across
I always just think if they see something, they attacking, period.
All I know is a bear, black, fight back, brown, get on the ground, and white, say goodnight. That's all I know, bro. Like, goddamn.
But, yeah, please let me know, because I would like to know.
Just in case,
because you just never know.
And you can pass down the information after you get it and do it.
Because I know people that like to do a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and they be doing too much.
So
you ain't gonna catch the mug and make some crocodile meat, you know what I'm saying? You know how people be eating crocodile?
I know people be eating that.
They be like, ooh, it tastes like chicken. Be like, everything can't chew.
What you said.
But R.I.P. to her, bro.
Definitely.
Like, and also, it seems as though she wasn't 100% fully prepared. It seemed like she was inspired by the movies and stuff to go and chase this, but she didn't properly prepare herself for this adventure. You know what I'm saying? As far as educating yourself and studying and being aware. Because it's kind of like, you know how people be like, I'm finna go backpacking. Yeah. And as I go, I learn. And as I go, I experience things. But sometimes, bro, like, stay your ass at home.
Or just, like, I mean, if you are going to do it, because you do have people that are, just be prepared. Like, you can't be prepared for everything, because some things are unknown. But at least do proper research and just know.
And if the motherfucking captain tell you to stay y'all ass in and don't get in the water because it's crocodile.
Why would we deep dive in the water? And then my thing is, I'm the type of person, baby, I trust my gut. You ain't got nothing to do. Tell me one time. My gut tell me one time, I'm good.
Because who had the gut feeling?
Jane.
Yeah, she did, because then Ginger was like, let's go. That's that free-spirited ass bullshit,
I'm going to stay here, baby. You do what you want, but I'm going to stay here. Yeah. I'm about to turn around because something don't feel right. Like, trust your gut. Like,
and then did y'all not scour the water before y'all jumped in, or y'all just said, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know, but...
Right, because I'm not, bro.
And then if someone already warned me, I'm the type of person, baby, I take heed to everything. True. You warn me, okay, cool, good. Thank you for letting me know that.
I know how motherfucker listen.
What you said, I listen, okay?
You gotta worry about me, baby.
You do not have to worry about me.
If you Google the words Burning Man and you click on images, you'll see lots of scantily clad and somewhat wild-looking people roaming around the Nevada desert on strange-looking bikes, and in the background, you'll see all these huge, bizarre statues of aliens and robots and animals, and these statues are often draped in more wild-looking people, or these statues are on fire, and these wild-looking people are dancing and rejoicing all around the flames. Based on these images, you might think Burning Man is just some totally weird substance-fueled party out in the middle of the desert. And while that is true to some degree, it's not totally accurate. Burning Man is not a party. It's actually an experiment that 70,000 people from all over the world participate in every year. The question this experiment is trying to answer is, can a random segment of the population come together and build a community out of nothing in the middle of nowhere? And can they do it while knowing at the end of Burning Man, which is always 9 days long, everything they build, the sculptures, the shelters, everything will be torn down and destroyed and erased from the planet as if it had never been there in the first place. And amazingly, year after year after year, the answer to this question is yes. Yes, they can. As soon as these 70,000 people descend on this small section of the Nevada desert, they immediately get to work helping each other, building their own sites. I mean, these people largely don't know each other, or in many cases, they don't even speak the same language, but they're showing up with this shared desire to build this temporary community. And so they begin seamlessly working together. And while shelters are being stood up all over the place, other attendees will pull out instruments and form impromptu bands. And then the artists of the group will get together and begin building these kind of strange sculptures. And so very quickly, within only a few hours, every year in Burning Man, this plot of barren desert turns into this beautiful otherworldly utopia full of totally happy and fulfilled and excited strangers. But in 2017, the utopia that was created at that Burning Man was shattered by one man, and his name was Aaron Joel. In 2017, Aaron Joel was a tall, handsome, 41-year-old free spirit who, from the time he was just a little kid, had this sort of restless energy about him. He always needed to be out doing stuff. He could never sit still. And so by the time he was old enough, he left his family home in Oklahoma and moved out to Oregon and moved into this commune. A commune is a group of people that live together and share their possessions and responsibilities. But shortly after moving into this commune, Aaron got restless again. This wasn't enough for him. And so he left the commune and began traveling all over the United States. But after he had basically gone everywhere in the country, he became restless again. And so he left the United States and he went to Nepal and began traveling all over Nepal. And while he was there, he met this wonderful young woman from Switzerland named Ladina, and the two fell madly in love. And then when it was time for Ladina to leave Nepal and go back to her home country, Aaron followed her. And just a couple of years later, in 2014, the pair got married and they bought a house together and settled down in Switzerland. For a time, Aaron and Ladina were very happy. Their life was very simple and straightforward. They loved each other. They loved Switzerland. But in 2017, Aaron's wanderlust reared its head again. And so he went up to Ladina and he told her that, honey, I need to go out and explore again. I need to go out and be free again. Even if it's just for a couple of days or a week or whatever time it is, I need it. I need it in order to be sane. I don't think Ladina was very pleased about this development. However, she knew her husband and she knew this was important to him and to his mental health. And so she said, okay, honey, you do what you have to do. And so Aaron thought about what he was going to do to satiate this desire to go out and be free again. And he settled on attending that year's Burning Man, something he had never done before. So Aaron leaves Switzerland and he goes back to Oregon in the United States. And he meets up with a very close friend of his named Justin. Justin was actually someone he had lived with in the commune when he was there. And so the two, they link up in Oregon, and from there, they drive in Justin's big van out to Nevada. And when they get to Nevada, they drive out to the Burning Man site. And as they're pulling up, they see thousands and thousands of other vans and tents and all these people that are out setting up and building this community, this utopia. And so right away, Aaron and Justin, they find their spot, they park their van, they begin to build their own site. And then after that, they pulled their bikes out of the van and began biking around, helping other people out build their sites and build the rest of the community. And so by that afternoon, Aaron and Justin had made lots of new friends, and they were out partying and dancing and singing with total strangers, just totally immersed in the Burning Man experience. That night, Aaron would actually turn in early while Justin would stay up and continue having a good time with the new people he had met. Aaron was just not a night owl. He liked to get a full night's sleep and then get up early and make himself a smoothie and do yoga. And so this was very normal behavior. Justin would later say that he really looked up to Aaron. And in fact, many people that knew Aaron looked up to him because Aaron, on the one hand, was a total free spirit that would just kind of go where the wind would blow him. But at the same time, he was very regimented and disciplined. He took great care of himself, both physically and mentally, and he just seemed wise beyond his years. And he was incredibly charismatic and very funny, and so people really flocked to him and really idolized him. One of the traditions of Burning Man has to do with its namesake. towards the end of every Burning Man, they will build this 40-foot tall wooden man effigy, and they will burn it to the ground, hence the name Burning Man. And so on the night of the so-called man burn, Aaron told Justin that he was not going to turn in early that night, that instead he was going to stay up and watch the spectacle of this effigy being burned to the ground. Justin was really excited about it, and so was Aaron. And so that evening, Aaron and Justin met up with their new friends they had met while they were at Burning Man, and their group began making their way over to the wooden man effigy. Now, this huge effigy was situated in this huge open clearing, and then standing all around this wooden man are what they called rangers. They're basically security guards for the event that also have some fire training, and they would stand almost shoulder to shoulder or very close to shoulder, facing away from the effigy, forming a perimeter around it. And the rangers' job was to prevent the crowd of 70,000 people from getting too close to the effigy when it was on fire, because it's obviously a huge hazard. And so Aaron, Justin, and their friends, when they got to this clearing and saw the effigy, they would have seen thousands and thousands of event attendees converging on this effigy, getting as close to the rangers as they possibly could on all sides. And so Aaron and Justin and their friends, they make their way up to one particular section of this crowd, and they begin fighting their way through all these people, trying to get as close to the rangers as they possibly could, because they want a good view of this man burn. And then once they were satisfied with their view, they just stopped and waited for the effigy to be lit. But before the effigy was lit, Aaron would turn to Justin and say, "Hey, I have some friends from Switzerland who are here right now. They're on the other side of the effigy, on the other side of the crowd, and I'm going to go see them right now." And so Justin was totally bummed that Aaron was going to be leaving right before this thing is lit, because he wanted to experience this with Aaron. But he said, "Okay, no problem. I'll see you hopefully, before this thing gets lit, or, I'll see you after this burn is done." And so Aaron departed the group, and Justin watched as he kind of disappeared into the crowd. And then Justin turned his attention back towards the effigy. And a little while later, when the sun had gone down and it was totally dark out and the crowd was totally electric as they're waiting for this thing to light, finally they did. They lit the effigy. And as soon as it went up in flames, the crowd of thousands and thousands of people roared with excitement. And this whole time, Justin is totally amazed by what he is watching, but he's also scanning the crowd, kind of hoping that Aaron will eventually pop back up. But at this point, the crowd is so massive and everyone's so tight together that Justin is really not expecting Aaron to come back over to where he had been. It just didn't seem possible. And so this huge wooden man effigy goes up in glorious flames, and everyone's so amazed by it. And then eventually the flames begin to dwindle down as the structure continues to burn lower and lower to the ground. And then finally, when the fire is just about out, the crowd of people begin to disperse. And at this point, Justin again looks around hoping to maybe see Aaron, but Aaron has not come back yet. And so Justin just says, "Okay, maybe it's time to leave and go check in with Aaron back at the van." And so he notifies his friends that he's going to turn around and head back. And as Justin turns and begins leaving the crowd, someone who was at the event, who apparently knew Justin and knew Aaron, came running over to Justin and frantically told him this totally shocking story about something that happened to Aaron. Now, at first, Justin just could not believe it. He couldn't even process it. It seemed so outlandish and unbelievable that it just could not have happened. But he was thinking to himself, I haven't seen Aaron since he left to go see his friends from Switzerland, and I have no idea where he is. And so Justin starts looking around the crowd again. He's not seeing Aaron, and he's starting to panic. And so finally, Justin just turns and starts running back towards his van in hopes that Aaron is going to be there. But when he gets back to his van, Aaron is not there, and there's no sign that Aaron has been back after they had left for the man burn. It would turn out that shocking story Justin had been told about Aaron was true. This is that shocking story. After...
What do you think happened? Just speculation.
I'm gonna just touch you with you.
You don't have no clue?
I don't. I was like, well, was he possibly trying to cross back over maybe? No, because then he would have went through the...
I'm just trying to see what's your mind.
Because I was like, well, maybe was he trying to maybe do a shortcut to get back to Justin?
So you think something with the statue happened to him?
I don't know. The title could just be throwing me, because I'm like, am I going off the title, or if that was just Or
is it a possibility he got into it with somebody?
Or did he, or that? But
That's what I'm
everybody
thinking.
seemed like they in such a good,
Have you ever heard of the Burning Man before?
No.
Oh, I have, and
I haven't.
I always heard about it. I thought, like he said, I thought, to be honest, it was like a festival or something. We're going to the Burning. I went to school.
Yeah.
We had people from all over, so I've been heard about the Burning Man thing. But I really thought it was a festival, and they light the Burning Man up at the end of the festival, and it was this one big old experience you enjoy. Yeah. But yeah, I've been knowing about it.
And had been told about Aaron was true. This is that shocking story. After Aaron told Justin that he was going to go to the other side of the crowd and spend some time with his friends from Switzerland, he disappeared from the group and he made his way over to that far side of the crowd. But we don't know if he actually met up with friends from Switzerland or if that was just some cover to get away from Justin and the other people he was with. But regardless, at some point, Aaron made his way over to the other side of the effigy, away from Justin and away from his other friends. And once he was over there, he pushed his way towards the front of the crowd until he was right in front of the Rangers with front row seats of the effigy. And then after the effigy was set alight and was fully engulfed in flames, Aaron, at some point, bum rushed one of the Rangers right in front of him and was able to push past him. And then before that Ranger or any other nearby Rangers could stop him, Aaron was able to sprint directly into the bottom of this massive effigy, right into the fire, and he disappeared inside of it. Because the crowd was massive and unruly and many people were under the influence of drugs or alcohol or both, because of all of that, even though Aaron is running into the fire right in front of them, it was like nobody noticed. Everybody was in kind of their own worlds, and it's dark out, there's this fire. I mean, there's so many distractions that really nobody noticed this happening besides the Rangers that were immediately affected by Aaron running past them and some of the people that were right at the front of the crowd watching as Aaron did this. And so this is why Justin and the rest of his friends had no idea this had happened, despite the fact they were watching this fire as this was happening. Aaron would ultimately only be inside of the flames for 12 seconds before the Rangers were able to go inside and pull him out. But by that time, it was already too late. Aaron would be rushed to the hospital, but he would die that night. It would later be determined that Aaron was completely sober at the time he decided to run into the Burning Man, which means he was of clear mind when he decided to do this. And so it was determined that his death had to be a suicide. However, his family and his friends and anybody who knew him are just totally not buying the idea that he decided to commit suicide. Especially like this. It just didn't make any sense. This is not something Aaron would have done. He was acting totally normally. His behavior was not erratic. Something else must have caused this to happen. But unfortunately, at this point, no one has come close to figuring out what this other thing could be. And so to date, his death still remains largely a mystery. Here is a picture one of the bystanders took of Aaron as he charges into the fire. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comments section what it is and where you...
Ooh, that is crazy.
Wow.
Oh, my. That's wild.
I really wonder, like...
Where was his mind at?
Where was his mental
And for him
like,
to only been in there for 12 seconds?
12 seconds. But it's so many flames, like...
Yeah.
Like...
Because my mom had just told me about this house fire that happened back home. Mm-hmm. And my cousin ran in to try to help. This guy passed away. Yeah. But she told me my cousin ran in, the one you know, on my dad's side. Yeah. He ran in trying to save dude. And he said it was just like, it was too much. He had to run back out. But I'm like, I'm surprised his ass even ran into. You know what I'm saying?
You know, sometimes you just never know. You know, people like, I never like, but you just never know, like, in that moment.
He ran, like, he was trying to run
trying to help somebody.
And he said he couldn't see nothing in there. He said it was just it was black. And I was like, dang. But
with him, but with Aaron being, I was calling by his middle name, but with Aaron being like sober, like no alcohol, no drugs, like nothing like found in his system, I'm really trying to figure out
where his mindset.
Like and it seemed like he was like such like chasing, like I need that next, like
high,
you know,
kind of like natural high.
like that natural, like he seemed very adventurous. Like, okay, I've been stagnant for too long. I need something more. So let me go and explore and do. But I just don't feel like. I mean, would you have put? Because what would been the end goal? You know what I'm saying? If it's not, what the family is believing that they,
Yeah.
like, what would have been like the reasoning?
The
like,
reason
I'm just
behind
not.
beside that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Besides that, like.
And honestly, it could have been that he could have been like, all right, I'm done here. I think I've done enough. It's time for me to move on. Some people do feel like that. Some people do get in the mindset like that, and it's unfortunate. But there's no. If he is 100% completely sober,
yeah,
he could have just experienced something while he was back home as far as being in the States.
yeah.
That he was just like, all right, because I know he got married to her, but did they have kids? I can't remember if he said.
He didn't say if they had kids, but I know they was married.
Because sometimes, maybe if he had kids, he probably wouldn't. But you never know.
I mean, you just never know. But
that's an unfortunate situation.
It's super unfortunate, especially because with people describing him and stuff like that, he seemed like he was a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but let me say this: most of the time, when you hear things like that happen, you normally get that. Yeah. I didn't expect that person to do that because they were such a nice guy. They were always in high spirits.
I'm taking it into consideration, but at the same time, like a lot of times when things like that happen, like people mask things a lot. You know what I'm saying? And don't want to be a burden to other people. So. Like, you just never
He could have been a fucking
and
just hit it for so long,
Yeah.
He could have.
But if that wasn't the case, if wholeheartedly, like, the family feel like that wasn't the case, I'm just like, what was it?
Yeah. Like, what else could have been?
Fire, that many, like, that's danger. Why would I put myself in danger? Why would I bum rush, And with you actually going to the friends that you said you was going to, because we still don't know for sure if you made it there. Was it just a way for you to get away from Justin?
Because Justin would have told you no, or he would have tried to go after you or something.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure that out. Was that was that the truth that you actually had friends there? And how long had the friends been there?
I'm trying to piggyback off you, but... Because in that case, did Justin even, like, because my thing is, if you did have friends from Switzerland that was already there, Justin would have already met them. 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't been on the last day that you are now wanting to hang out. And y'all
probably would have already been together, probably, to watch this. We here
Justin,
you know what I'm saying?
Because it seems like Justin was like, hey, he told me right before the thing that he had friends here.
You know what I'm saying?
And he went, because honestly... If you did have friends there and you was trying to meet up, you would have told Justin, "Oh, come on, Justin, I got some friends." Because it's an experience that you spend together with people who you don't know, so everybody's already welcoming.
But then I'm also
no. But go.
But then I'm also thinking if that's the case, because I'm pretty sure you didn't plan to, like, if it is, he could have planned.
He could have planned it prior.
But I'm saying, but you had me come. I would have just went by myself if I had that in my head. I wouldn't have went and be like, hey, Justin, you want to come and go to this?
Or peep this. Depending on how they friendship, that's the person he knows the closest the most, and he wanted to spend time with him before.
I don't know. I don't want to like put that because I hate like when situations and you don't know for sure, especially something like this. It'd be different if it was more like oh, someone's
struggling with something.
No, I'm saying like
don't for the YouTube. No.
Well, I'm saying
if it happened in a different way.
Okay, if it happened in a different way. Instead of like something like this, because you just don't know. That's more like, okay, this person did whatever, opposed to this is kind of like, was it well, I don't know.
You never know. People go out in all types of ways.
I know they do.
Especially in situations like that. There's always different type of ways people choose to. Right,
but for the family's sake, it's kind of like, it's not that like.
But I'll say this, in a situation like that, it's not about the family. A lot of times they don't care because a lot of times a big debate is that like when you're doing stuff like that is it kind of on the selfishness side.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for the family's sake, because they were like it couldn't have been that because with the way that he went out, it's kind of like you can have it in the air. Was it an accident, or was he actually trying to do something, or whatever the case may be? But when it's happened in a different way, what I was trying to explain, like like this person went out like this by know.
So let me say this: when you've got, which we even got a physical image of him literally running into it.
I know.
Only other thing you can do from that situation is do a toxicology report and see if there was anything in the system. Which they did.
So it was nothing in the system. He was sober.
So you on the real, you have to accept it. A lot of times in situations, family don't like to accept things.
Right.
And in this case, it could be that the family just doesn't want to accept that was the outcome.
True.
And because what would somebody push him into it? No, he sprinted out to it. So it was on his own will that he ran in there.
Right.
And then so it was like, all right, so let's see if he was fully under the influence of anything. Check this system, wasn't influenced of anything. So, and he was away from everyone that possibly could have rescued or saved him, besides the Rangers. But after you bombard them and you do that, at the end of the day, it's something you decide to do. Unfortunately, that's just it's a hard subject to talk about. You know what I'm saying as well. So, but that's unfortunate. Because there was no information left over. I'm sure. So that his family still have a lot of questions that they probably would never get answered. You know, maybe his wife in Switzerland, maybe she knows something, and maybe he was dealing with something, or maybe she noticed something he was dealing with and just never informed the family. You know, so that was a toss-up as far as being able to get the answer or not being wanting to accept the fate of what actually happened. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
No, you just
No, I was going to say, I know what it looks like to me, but I was just saying, like, because like you were saying, like, families be in denial and stuff. So,
Oh,
nothing. But yeah,
but most
it's
definitely
an unfortunate
RIP to
situation.
him, though. RIP to him. I wish he found a different type of way to deal with whatever he possibly was dealing with for him to make him want to, or if that is what happened, made him go in that direction. I wish, you know what I'm saying, it could have been a different outcome. I'm just saying, just leave it at that. Ginger, unfortunate situations. That was very, very unfortunate. Sad way to go out. Horrible because you also got everybody else who, even Jane, because Jane realized that could have been her as well. That's damn. And RIP to Ian. And my condolences go to Gemma.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm glad y'all had 8 years to really, you know what I'm saying, build something together. And damn, it's just, you know what I'm saying, 8 years, and y'all finally, you know what I'm saying,
that's just sad, because y'all just got married.
And got your home, and y'all are fit to really experience a lot of stuff, and it's like, damn,
life together.
A tragic situation that could have 100%, that could have been avoided. 100% could have been avoided for sure. But I wonder, did she file any like criminal negligence? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like she has a case. That there is a case that could be had about that situation. It has to be, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, man, y'all let us know y'all thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below about each and every one of them, man. Let us know y'all thoughts, man. But as always, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back